The 8th day of Houston Texans training camp in the books. I'm not panicking yet, but I do want everybody to locate where the panic button is. I'll tell you why and some of the good stuff from the day as well. Presented by my friends at The Perfect Jean. They're the best jeans I've ever worn. They're stretchy, they're breathable, they're comfortable. My goodness, they are at a discount. Use my link in the description down below, plus free shipping as well. So let's start with the bad from practice, and that's the offense just getting beat up by the defense. Now, you might say, hey, that's a good thing because the defense took care of their business. Yeah, a little bit. It is. And I started by saying I'm not panicking, and I'm not panicking. The offense hasn't consistently looked awesome basically at any point in training camp. There's been really good stretches of good. There's been an awesome moment here and there, but the offense has not gone out there and dominated a practice from start to finish. That's okay. They've had a few days in padded practice. It's 8 practices total. One of them was a walkthrough. Don't panic. Just know where the panic button is in case you need to hit it. Because I'd love to see this offense put together some consistency for maybe just 2 practices in a row. Or heck, 2 practices in like a 4-day stretch. Just go out there and really be able to get the ball to the receivers, run the football a little bit better than they have, protect a little bit better than they have, but they just haven't done that up to this point. Nick Caley spoke after practice, and he took a little bit of accountability on himself. First, he noted that they needed to anchor better on the offensive line. That means the pass blocking wasn't where he wanted it to be, and you saw that throughout the course of this workout. He also said the offense needs to play a little bit more on time, and with the offensive line having a issue here or there that interrupts the timing, but it does feel, especially over the past couple of days, the Texans have had some timing centric issues pop up when it comes to their passing game. And then third, he put a little bit of the onus on himself. He said, look, I could have called plays that had quick solutions with some of the stuff that we were dealing with, better solutions for the quarterbacks out there. And I would be worrying a little bit more if it was just, hey, only on the first team is the offense looking bad, but then Mills is slinging it all over the place, and then Mertz and Keaton Slovis are doing their thing. That's not the case. Davis Mills got beat up today in the passing game. He was having a tough time, threw an interception to Jalen Smith after a ball bounced off of Brevin Jordan's hands. Like, it's really good from the defense right now, and the offense has a lot more challenges in their way, on their way to performing well. Think about this defense. It's the 3rd year with DeMeco Ryans for most of these defenders. They brought back most of that defense. They have a healthy Jalen Petrie. They have a 2nd-year Kamari Lassiter and Kalen Bullock. They have Derek Stingley at the peak of his powers. They added C.J. Gardner-Johnson. The linebacking room is healthy. The defensive tackles are nasty. Obviously, Anderson and Hunter are really good. The offense, a lot more challenges. Christian Kirk is new. Jaden Higgins is new. Jalen Knoll is new. Justin Watson is new. Nick Chubb is new. The offensive line, almost all of it's new. From the offensive line, you could have 5 brand new starters for the Houston Texans along the offensive line. Not to mention, on top of all of that, all those guys are learning a brand new offense. So I'm not worried. It hasn't looked good, but I'm not worried, and you shouldn't be worried either. Don't worry. I don't want you to see in the comments down below that I'm worried. I don't want to see that from you. Don't worry yet. But I'll be the first one to tell you when to worry if this offense just isn't quite clicking. Because at some point, you have to stop making excuses for the offense, and they have to take a day where they didn't look so hot and bounce back from it and look good the next day. Maybe that day is tomorrow. Maybe that day is a couple of days next week in West Virginia, where myself and Landry Locker from the Locker Room will be covering the team live. Maybe that is the case, but it hasn't happened to this point. And I just want to know, where in the room is the panic button in case we have to hit it. Now, this offensive line is part of it. And I thought today was going to be a good day for the offensive line. I thought they might have had a little something, because in one-on-ones, I felt like the offensive line had a really good performance. Now, one-on-one drills are created to make it difficult for the offensive player when it comes to O-line, D-line one-on-ones. Because a lot of times offensive linemen have the ability to pass that player off, or you have a player that's going to help you with a double team. One-on-ones, you got to go out there and you have to go and win. Well, I watched the one-on-one trenches session, and I counted far more victories for the offensive line than the defensive line. Obviously, Daniil Hunter got in there, took care of his business. And there were some moments here and there. Tommy Togiai had a lot of success in the one-on-ones. Dylan Horton, went 1-1 going against Zach Thomas in a couple of reps. But as I watched those reps go, Ariante Ursary, 1 reps. Jake Andrews, 1 reps. Jarrett Patterson won a bunch of reps. Laken Tomlinson was good. Cam Robinson had some moments. Player after player after player on the offensive line had some nice one-on-one moments. It just didn't translate to the rest of practice. One, the defense has more stuff to throw at you when they've got Jalen Petrie coming in, blitzing sometimes, or showing blitz and then backing into the coverage. They've got linebackers that are tough to deal with from time to time. And it's a little difficult to consistently do your job against this defense and this defensive line. But I was encouraged with the one-on-one sessions. And there were still some moments where the offensive line had a good rep or two. The best play of practice from C.J. Stroud was created because the offensive line turned the line of scrimmage into a barroom brawl. They just got in a knockdown, drag-out match with the defensive line. Basically, everybody kind of hit the ground. It was some really good blocking. And Stroud, seeing this, spins out of any chance that they're going to pressure him, rolls to his left and finds Dalton Schultz on the extended play for an easy touchdown. Nobody's around Dalton Schultz. He ran a fantastic route. That's a really good job by the offensive line. They had some moments at other times where they held up well. Like there are spots, moments, bits of time where this offensive line looks like it can do something. And then Will Anderson just blows past Ariante Ursary for a sack, or Daniil Hunter got Ursary for a sack, or you'll have Mario Edwards Jr., kind of mosey through the offensive line and get a tackle for no gain of stuff. Like there's just not enough altogether from this offensive line on a consistent basis, but there's moments. And I don't know that there were as many moments for last year's offensive line as we've seen for this offensive line if you were comparing it through the first week plus of work. So there's a little something there. They just got to figure out how to constantly get it out of these offensive linemen and put it on the field against this Houston Texans defense. The first team offensive line has been pretty regular at this point as well. By the way, Cam Robinson at left tackle, Laken Tomlinson at left guard, at right guard, Titus Howard, at right tackle, Ariante Ursary, and Jarrett Patterson and Jake Andrews rotating at center, with Andrews usually getting the first crack at center. Feels like those 6 guys are going to be the offensive line. Figure out whichever center you like. I tend to lean towards Patterson, but I could understand Andrews as well. But those players feel like they're going to be that first team offensive line. Nick Caserio recently saying that around the start of that first preseason game is when they'd like to solidify that offensive line. That's next week. That's a week from Saturday against the Minnesota Vikings in Minnesota. So the Greenbrier, West Virginia next week be really important for the finalization of maybe what they're going to run out there as that first team offensive line. We'll see who the center ultimately ends up being. And then it's a dog fight for those backup offensive line spots. You're going to need a couple of backup tackles, maybe a backup guard or 2, or you'll definitely need a backup guard, but you may need 2 backup guards. And then, of course, whoever doesn't win the center spot should be the backup center. Eli Cox is the third team center. No center snaps for Juice Scruggs, so he is now, it looks like, a guard for the Houston Texans, so nothing at center for Scruggs these days. And Blake Fisher looks to be the backup right tackle right now. Solomon Byrd got him in one of the team portions of practice for a sack. It was one of the few times where Fisher looked like his non-padded practice self. He's been better in pads, but Byrd got him on one particular play in this practice. But again, I do feel like there is a little something there from the offensive line. Hopefully, if I scratch it, I don't find out that it is indeed fool's gold. You know what's foolish for you? Wearing bad jeans. How about you get the perfect jeans from my friends at the Perfect Jean? How about you get them with 15% off and free shipping, free exchanges, free returns? You buy it, you don't like it, send it back, cost you nothing to do it, but you're going to love it. You're going to love these jeans. I have a hard time finding jeans that I love. I love these jeans. They are stretchy. They are comfortable. They are breathable. So even when it's a little bit warmer, you don't feel as bad when you wear them compared to those old, heavy, hard to feel the breeze ever jeans. Not with the Perfect Jean. Tons of different styles, tons of different colors, and 15% off for you. Free shipping, free exchanges, free returns. Use my link in the description down below and visit my friends at the Perfect Jean. Let's talk about some of these defensive line standouts. As we talk about the offensive line having some tough moments, but also a little bit of good, I want to talk about the defensive line. I mean, you know that Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter have good moments. I mean, if you could bubble wrap those guys, they'd be ready week 1 to give the LA Rams hell in Los Angeles when the Texans go on the road for their season opener. You could bubble wrap them, they'd be good to go. Okay, but they are nasty, and they win so many different ways. They win with speed, they win with power, they win with moves. It's really impressive to watch those two. But Darrell Taylor has had some really nice snaps as well. He's got just some juice that he brings from that in position and goes in there and just really can speed past a tackle if you give him enough room and you don't get a hand on him. Bird has a really good, Darrell Taylor with the juice, Bird with the speed. Horton has a lot of power sometimes. Like, he'll just get his arm extended into these tackles. Like, those three ends have had some really impressive moments behind the two that you obviously already know about in Hunter and Anderson. And man, I don't know what Danico Autry's situation is, when he's going to come off of the physically unable to perform list, when he's going to be back. I don't know when Derek Barnett's going to be back, but if they had to play tomorrow, the Texans have enough defensive end talent to use that rotation that D'Amico Ryans likes to do, putting guys in, taking them out, mixing and matching, making sure everybody's fresh. He's got enough between Darrell Taylor, who's got the juice, Solomon Bird, who's got the speed, and Dylan Horton, who's got that power. Horton's not afraid to showcase a little speed every now and then. Either interior, I mean, we've talked about Tim Settle on the channel before. Settle's had a really nice training camp. He's been stuffing stuff in the middle. Finally seen Sheldon Rankins make a few plays here in the past few days in pads. Mario Edwards Jr. looks good there. And then even Tommy Togiai and Junior Tafuna getting in on the action at defensive tackle. I don't envy the coaches trying to figure out who is going to be the defensive tackle that finally makes this roster and the first guy that's out. Same thing with the defensive end conversation. They could keep 12 of those guys, and all of them would have valid arguments to be on the roster. Ultimately, feel like 9 or 10 is probably the max for the defensive line for this team. I'd lean maybe 5 ends, 4 tackles. It's going to be tough. Cut down day is going to be hard, and there's going to be some that these guys make it through waivers, and the Texans are able to keep them around the organization with the practice squad, because there's some good football players that aren't going to make the 53-man roster over there on defense. Now, we talked about how the offense had a rough day. The defense had some really good moments. I do feel pretty comfortable with the Nico Collins, Christian Kirk 1-2 punch at wide receiver. There's times where it's not going great on offense. There's been some tough moments, and C.J. Stroud can just put his back foot in the ground, let it rip, and Nico Collins is there, and Christian Kirk is there. Both those guys can win over the middle consistently, and really the only time Nico doesn't win over the middle is when Derek Stingley is on him. Think about having to have one of the best cornerbacks in football to defend the Texans' top wide receiver. The Texans' defense has that. Not every defense the Texans are going to go against is going to have that. Nico's going to have some success over the middle, and they line him up so many different places. You will not be able to predict where Nico Collins is going to be getting the football from. And then Kirk, I mean, he is a slot merchant. Quick, agile, wins fast in reps so that Stroud can get rid of the ball in a timely manner. It's a lot to like from the Christian Kirk addition. And those two guys, to me, are clearly the most consistent wide receivers. They're the guys that when stuff's going bad, Call a Nico Collins play. Call a Christian Kirk play. Let's get the ball over the middle. Let's get a completion and see if we can get this thing humming. That's what the offense does, and I feel very confident in that 1-2 punch at wide receiver. Is it the best 1-2 punch in all of football? Hell no, it's not. But it's really good, and you just got to be able to trust those guys when you do find yourself in a tough situation. And if it was 3rd and 5, I'd figure out a way to get Nico Collins in the slot, win over the middle, get the ball to him, move the chains. Let's call that first down play, Nick Caley. That's what I'd do if it was 3rd and 5 and I needed that first down. Hell, if it was 4th and 2, I might run Nico Collins and Christian Kirk out of the slots and on some slants and just hope for that instead of running the football the way the rushing attack's been going. But that's a conversation for another day. What do you make of the stuff from day 8 of Houston Texans training camp? Let me know in the comment section down below. I said in the I was going to say in the conversation down below, but let me know in the comment section down below. That's what I was trying to get out on this one. Don't forget to visit my friends at The Perfect Gene, because they have the perfect jeans for you. And I appreciate you watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I can't wait till we talk Texans again soon. How about a mid-training camp food review for you? H-E-B's limited edition chili cheese fry thin potato chips. I'm very excited about these. I saw these in the store, had to try them out. And, a couple bucks for a bag of chips. I feel like chips used to be super, super cheap. They're not the most expensive thing in the world, but it feels like everybody's always got a chip deal. These were not that expensive over there at the Hebe chili cheese fries. So what we're looking for here is to clearly get a little bit of maybe smokiness from the chili and then get that creamy kind of fatty sensation that cheese gives you sometimes. Of course, when you have one of these that's got seasoning on it, you turn it upside down and you get the seasoning redistributed. Let's get into the H-E-B limited edition chili cheese fry thin potato chips. It smells like chili. Oh, you can definitely smell the chili. Are we going to taste the chili, though? But you can definitely smell the chili. There's a lot of seasoning on here, and it looks like a little bit of smokiness on some of the seasoning. A little bit of a darker seasoning, which might be able to get you that smokiness. Couple of chips. I'll give you the review here. Right away, you get that chili flavor. Right away, and then you get that ballpark cheese is not smooth, but a lot of times fatty things or things like liquid cheese, they have sort of that coat your tongue texture or coat your tongue feeling. It kind of gives you that smoothness every now and then. These are good. This would be great for a nice little one-off. I don't know if I'd buy a bunch of these, but man, with like a ranch dip at a party, like if you're having a baseball party, like a baseball get-together, like maybe, I don't know, you're going to celebrate Carlos Correa being back on the Astros, you get all your friends over and watch a game, buy a bag of these as a nice little one-off, get you some ranch dip or some sour cream dip, have that next to it, and you'll be good to go. It's a solid chip. Again, I'm not buying this a bunch. This is not making like my fave list or anything, but it's a very solid chip. The scale is 1 to 11, 11 being the best thing you've ever had, 1 being you wouldn't recommend it to your worst enemy. I'll go with a very solid, just 8.0. It delivers exactly what it promises in the chili cheese flavor that is promised. So you get exactly what is promised in a chili cheese fries thin potato chip, and you get that chili cheese flavor. I like it. 8.0 on the food review scale, and worth a one-off. And it's a limited edition. It should stay a limited edition. Don't need to be year-round, but a nice little worth a one-off potato chip from H-E-B.